I was saying before is if you know somebody would be interesting for the group to listen to, then let me know and we'll try to contact them. I can't remember who gave me Kristi's name, but I know it wasn't me. It was somebody in the group that came up and saw what she was doing. I thought at first it was Justin, but he came here specifically to hear her, so I know it wasn't him. Also, tonight is not professional accounting or any of that legal stuff. It's all just for your information, just for your enjoyment. If you hear something you like, run it by your lawyer and your accounting and stuff and all that stuff. This isn't legal or accounting professional stuff. You can go talk to Kristi and Monty later on your own, but don't think anything you hear here is anything you can rely on other than to run it through your accountant or lawyer. This is Kristi Hennessey, and she's a lifelong West Texan with family ties in the oil industry. She started a long career in executive recruiting, and in 2010, she and her husband Monty, which is sitting over here, raise your hand, Monty. There you go. Started buying, holding, flipping, and wholesaling real estate while working in a contact human resource position with a Canadian drilling company in 2011. She saw a need for furnishing housing in the Permian Basin. In 2012, with more questions than answers, she got the first client for the Hennessey Group with Weatherford Industry. And that was the beginning of what is now a $7 million company. She owns and runs 250 furnished apartments, as well as a furniture and housewares rental business based here in Midland. Take it away.
Thank you. I don't know who gave my name. I hope I don't disappoint them. What I want to do is I want to show you a video. It's about a minute and a half, a little bit more, that kind of explains what we do.
Hennessey Group is a national company that provides corporate housing with premier locations throughout the United States. We are redefining corporate housing by creating vacation home-like experiences for the business traveler, relocating families, those on government or military assignments, and anyone out of their home for insurance or remodeling purposes. Our executive staff works closely with you and are committed to providing top-notch service 24/7. While the average hotel room is only 250 square feet, our average accommodations span a roomy 950 square feet. We also offer family-friendly locations with an extra bedroom and bathroom, and our pet-friendly locations. All units are fully furnished and include such amenities as a fully stocked kitchen, a washer and dryer, and available housekeeping. Here are 3 simple steps for booking your first-class extended stay experience. First, we will use your unique situation to determine which unit and amenities are right for you. Next, we will work with you to determine which leasing option is right for you from month to long-term stay. The longer you stay, the deeper the discounted rate. Finally, once your choice is made and your lease is signed, we will prepare your apartment for you from utilities to furniture to making sure you have Wi-Fi and parking as soon as you arrive. The stress of working remotely or having to relocate, even temporarily, is unpleasant. That's why Hennessey Group is dedicated to taking care of the hard parts, so you can focus on what's important.
Okay, that's it. Does that answer all your questions?
Awesome.
Good. That was easy. Okay. From what I understand, everybody here, not everybody here, but a lot of you have rental property, and you basically want to know how to rent to corporations. Mm-hmm. Why do you think you want to rent to corporations? Anyone?
The liability.
Liability?
No, reliability. Better
Okay.
clients.
Okay. Okay. What else? More money? Okay.
Shorter stays, more return.
Okay.
You know, you have a product that may be stale.
Okay.
You're pretty certain you're going to get paid?
Someday you will. And all of those are true in a lot of occasions, but all of them are very false in a lot of occasions too. I kind of broke this into why, who, what, and how. And if you have any questions, I definitely want, because I don't know what you don't know, and I assume after 7 years, everybody knows what I do and how to do it, and that's it. We can just talk about fun things. But a lot of people want to, or why do you want to do corporate housing? Lots of working employees. We have more working employees coming here than we have just families who want to come here just to live in beautiful West Texas. So there are a lot more people who are needing something that's furnished. And a lot of times it's because they don't live here. They don't want to live here, but they have to work here. So they need something, and instead of staying in a hotel, like our video says, it's easier to stay in a furnished house. Competition with hotels. Anybody tried to rent a hotel in town? Or even talked to anyone who tried to rent a hotel in town? It's
Expensive.
highway robbery. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, Motel 6 is like $600 a night. Stupid.
You kidding?
No.
More than $600?
Oh yeah. Go on some days. I mean, some days it's better, but I will guarantee you won't get below $200 on a weekday.
Right. A night?
Yes. Go to hotels.com and look at anything in Midland on a weeknight. Friday, Saturday is cheaper, but no. Yeah. That's what we do. A lot of advertising saying, you want to stay here or you want to stay here, and that's how we do it. That's how we get some people. Plus, we get a lot of people saying, I'm tired of a hotel. Where a hotel, your bed is your living room, it's your kitchen, it's your office, you're living in your bed.
Can't cook.
Can't cook, can't do your laundry, can't invite family, friends, pets, that kind of thing. And also, we get a lot of people who don't want man camps. Man camps are basically dorm rooms with adult men. And yeah, same thing. You don't want to bring a family. You don't want to live there. And also, bringing VIPs, you can charge a little bit more. But all of these have a big but, all of them. Lots of working employees. So somebody, Apache brings people in. They bring in 10 people. They want them all to stay in the same place. They can go get them and take them to their job site. If you only have one rental, you're out, because you typically can't fit 2 people in. Comparison with hotels. The thing about a hotel is a lot of times they have a kitchen or a restaurant, so they have their food. So there's your competition, unless you're going to go serve them breakfast, which we've been asked if we go serve breakfast. We do not. We do not. Man camps, they like that they can bring 75 people and house them in one place. That's. And company VIPs, yes, they come in. Yes, they are willing to pay more, but yes, they expect a hell of a lot more. And so you have to you have to know what you're willing to do. And after 7 years, we finally decide what we're not willing to do, and we do say no a whole lot more than we did 7 years ago. So, who do you want to rent to? What kind of renter do you want? Do you want workers? Do you want execs? Do you want VIPs? Do you want families? Those all expect different things. They all want different things. Families want twin beds for their kids. Are you willing to put twin beds in your rooms? A bunch of workers want to put 10 people in a 2-bedroom house. For real. Mm-hmm. We had a 1-bedroom apartment that we finally had to kick the people out because they didn't pay. Found 7 people living there in a small 1-bedroom apartment. Somebody was sleeping underneath the table, and somebody was sleeping on top of the table.
Oh my.
Hate to be those people, but yeah, they did.
One in the closet.
One in the bathtub, one in the closet, yeah. 7 people. That's fun. So you have to know what you are just willing to do. And if you have a house that you've set up, maybe you've set it up for a VIP, so you've got king bed and you've got 2 queen beds in the other rooms. Are you willing to put twin beds in there? Are you willing to switch them out? Are you willing to put extra cable in there? Are you willing to upgrade your appliances? Those are just things that corporations are wanting.
When you say that, are you saying per customer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're all
A demand list?
demand list. And some are great, some are great. And then some, we see that the higher up the ladder, of course, the more picky, more demanding. And also, a lot of times when they bring people in from other countries, they are more demanding. We've had people tell us there were birds nesting over a walkway. They called us to go get rid of the birds and take care of the poop. This lady was a doctor from India, I think, somewhere, and she wouldn't put her food into the cupboards because birds were
Outside the door.
diseased people. I don't know how the cupboards had anything to do with, but anyway, those are the kind of things that you get. Yeah, I know. There are some good ones. There are some really good ones. When anybody says, "Oh, I wish I had just corporate," let me tell you.
Careful what you wish.
Let's buy a drink. Let me tell you what you're doing. What you're doing.
I'm buying.
What?
He's buying.
Oh, you're buying, yeah. And then also, what are you willing to do for these people? So the basic explanation is kind of what we said in this video. A corporate apartment or a corporate house, a corporate rental at all, is fully furnished. And furniture means a bed and a headboard, not just a frame or a mattress on the floor. It has to be a bed with a headboard, a nightstand, a lamp, and yes, they do request all this stuff. A nightstand, a lamp, a dresser that doesn't fall over on their 2-year-old because their 2-year-old's gonna climb on it. We got that 2 weeks ago. That was fun. And then in the kitchen, fully stocked with everything, down to the pitcher and the vegetable peeler, and what else?
Wine bottle opener.
Wine bottle over every piece of crap that you're like,
Are they asking you for pillow top beds and down
Yeah.
comforters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of that, yeah.
Yeah.
In the living room, sofa love, nightstand, coffee table, TV, at least 42 inch. At least, if not bigger. And they've asked for bigger, but 42 is all we do. Cable and internet, and then we got a lot of people who gripe because we don't give enough cable channels. And then we had one that complained, you know, when you have we have DirecTV at our house because we live in the country. And there are a lot of advertising channels. You have to go through 50 advertising channels to get to one. She requested we take all those off.
Like you have control.
So have your favorites already pre-selected, not
Reprogram.
I'm just I'm not DirecTV. I am not gonna be, Lord, lady, no. And that. Parking's a huge issue right now, huge.
You might be charging a lot for the demand. I'm sorry.
I'm not cha-ching. Okay, what else do you want? Okay, cha-ching, yeah, your rent's getting high. So, but yeah, so you just need to know what you're willing to do. And you need to go ahead and set that up because they're gonna ask for more. And you suck and your whole company sucks and everybody around you sucks and everything sucks because you won't give them extra Wi-Fi. Or we didn't have 3 skillets instead of 1.
Where do you get the Wi-Fi from?
Your cable company.
Oh.
Yeah, Wi-Fi and
Yeah.
cable.
Yeah.
We do basic extended cable, so everything up to the pay channels. We don't do the pay channels. And then the lowest Wi-Fi they can get is 12.
One of the biggest things that we noticed with corporate housing, one of the big advantages, one of the things that helps sell it to the companies and the corporations is that they have one bill coming in.
Right.
They don't want to have to hook up electricity and pay an electric bill. They don't want to have to hook up cable and Wi-Fi and pay that bill. They don't want to have to mess with water. They don't want to have to mess with renting furniture. They don't want to have to mess with trying to get housewares in an apartment. So that's one of the biggest things that we provide is we provide everything in one package. They get one bill from us each month, they pay one bill, and it's done and over for them. The convenience is worth the extra money for them.
For most companies, exactly.
But that's one of the things that we see that a lot of people don't offer. They'll say, yeah, we'll furnish a house for you. We're not putting pots and pans in there. We're not putting towels in there. We're not putting sheets in there.
We're not connecting your electricity. We're not
Yeah,
connecting your cable.
or-
all those things.
We don't provide maid service. We'll send somebody to you. Well, those are all things that when they sit down and look at it, these people are just like everybody else in this room. They have more to handle than they can handle already.
Right.
So they don't want to take on these extra tasks or burden somebody in their office to do it. That's part of the appeal to doing a corporate lease with us, is that we take care of all of that stuff. And if somebody has a problem, they don't call them, they call us.
And the funniest thing is, and again, we've done this, we started in 2012 when things were starting to come back, and then we did it during the downfall, and then we've done it again during this boom, is a lot of companies say, oh, your prices are too high. We hear that all the time. We'll just do it ourselves. Okay. You have someone in your office that's dedicated to do this 100% of the time, right? Because it takes someone. Because when your employees have a cable problem, they're calling you. Whenever they have a plumbing problem, they're calling you. Whenever they bring their own bed bugs into their house, they're calling you for everything. And that's what we do, is we take that off of their shoulders. So that's the big selling point. But as far as what do we charge for cable, we don't do an upcharge. That's just part of the service.
Oh, you do a flat package deal for rent?
Exactly. We take the rent, we take all of the expenses, electricity, cable, Wi-Fi, tax, furniture, and insurance, because you have to insure all these wonderful people. Take everything that's going to go into that. You put, and this is something that we learned too, I was from recruiting where everything worked on percentages. Don't do percentages, do a flat fee.
Right.
Charge $300, $400, $500, $1,000, whatever, a flat fee. Because your prices are gonna go up and down, and that covers you.
The other thing with pricing
Because
is
if
that
you
you always
do
want to price.
percentages, you're gonna get screwed. Because we
I
did.
didn't do that.
The other thing with pricing is you always want to price per day. You don't want to price per month, because when they look at it per month, they're looking at a big number. But when you price it per day, just an example, a 3-bedroom apartment, fully furnished, fully stocked, is $165 a day. And when you look at hotels, you're looking at $200 plus a day, plus all of the hotel taxes and everything else that go on top of that. So we're actually quite a bit cheaper. When they say, well, we send them home on the weekends, that's true, but you can rent an apartment for 30 days, cheaper than you can rent an apartment during the week for a month. And they don't have to take all their stuff home every weekend. They can leave it there. They get the same room
And
when
pray
they
they
come
have a
back.
hotel room when they get back on Monday.
They can
'cause
buy
usually
groceries
don't.
and leave them in the apartment. There's a lot of advantages to it. They have got a washer and dryer in their apartment, so they're not going down to a laundry room somewhere. So, you know, all of these things are appealing to companies when they go to do something like that. So
Exactly.
anything that you can do to make it more convenient for them and for their people, the better it is. The more likely it is that you're going to get more corporate rentals.
Right, and so we've got, the trend right now is a lot of people are asking for housekeeping, even for their workers. And so you've got 6 people in a 3-bedroom apartment, all sleeping on twins. Guys, y'all are messy. And so 6 guys in 2 bathrooms is
Right.
gag. So we get our cleaning people in there. We've got a staff of 5 in our cleaning crew, and they are busy all the time, because that's one of the things that we push is companies to add housekeeping and maid service. And what that does for you as the owner is that gives you eyes into that apartment. So if something is messed up, you've got, you know, plumbing issues, or somebody's chewing the, you know, paint off the wall or whatever, you get to see it every week or every month or whatever. So I would add maid service in.
How often do you do the maid service?
On average, every 2 weeks. We've got people who want it weekly, we've got people who want it monthly, but on average, every 2
So with
weeks.
your corporate housing, do the people not change? You know, maybe there's one person in there 1 week and another.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So do you not, what do you do for like changing the sheets and all that during that time?
When we do just basic maid service, when we set up a unit, we put an extra set of sheets in the closet. So we'll come in and we'll change your sheets out, and we'll put your dirty sheets in the laundry, but we're not gonna run the washer, because sometimes people don't stay there for a week at a time, and then the sheets get moldy and yada yada, and so that's what we'll do. So yeah, we do change their sheets.
And I think part of what you were asking is, a lot of times when companies they have workers come moving in and out.
Right.
They will set up their housekeeping so that it comes in as one crew moves out before the next
Okay.
moves in. So a lot of times a crew will leave in the morning, we'll go in and clean it and reset it, and then their new crew will come in that evening. So-
Yeah, we've got some that want to work specific. We need you in there after 4 on a Tuesday. And so we know, okay, it's in between shifts. Sorry that I didn't know what you
No,
were
that's
saying.
fine.
You were saying that you just had a flat fee, but this is separate?
Maid services, it is, a lot of times we'll throw it into the rental rate. And so it's in there and they kind of don't know they're paying for it, but they're paying for it. Does that make sense? So when you do all of your expenses, so you'll put your rent, you'll put your electricity, your cable, anything else, your furniture, any of those expenses in there, you'll put maid service as one of those items. And then you mark it up a flat fee.
So what are they willing to pay
Flat.
for
Make it a flat.
1 bed versus 2 bedroom versus 3 bedroom?
Our prices range or are on a sliding scale based on how long they're in there. And so if you do a 1 month to a 90 day, a 3 month, 1 to 3 months, for a 1 bedroom, on average, it's about $105 a day. And on a 2 bedroom, short term like that, it's $120 to $125. And then on a 3 bedroom, it can get, and all of this, of course, depends on rent, how much rent is, that's the biggest part of it. But a 3 bedroom could be $150 to $175.
When you say rent, so you're renting all these houses or you own these houses?
We sublet. So we rent apartments, we do apartments.
Okay.
The majority of what we have, I don't know if we have any corporate houses right now. I don't think
We
we do.
have had them.
Right.
We just, because the housing market is like it is,
Okay, yeah.
we were kicked out of several of them so people could sell their houses.
Okay.
Because they know they can get top dollar for them right now.
Yeah, okay.
But one of the things that we try and do when we price is we try and price, I'm coming up for it, so everybody can have her in.
Thank you.
I was trying to let her talk. One of the things we do when we try and price, when she talks about the 90 days and forward, is we try and price it so that all of the expendable items, which are housewares and things like that, those are all items that we consider expense items. If we get some of them back and we get to use again, like towels and sheets and cups and saucers and plates and bowls and things like that. If we get some of that back at the end of the lease, that's kind of a plus, but we don't count on it, so we try and price that out so that those are paid for in 90 days.
Or the length of the lease.
Or the length of the lease.
And that's
So-
why if you rent it for a
For
year, you're taking a year to pay for that cup.
Right.
But if you rent for 90 days or 30 days, you're
Yeah.
paying for it in 30 days. So you're paying for the house, or our clients are paying for the housewares.
Right. Typically, right now, we don't have anything, we very seldom get one that's less than 90 days, but when things are slower, we do have a lot of 30-day leases. So the price does go up in that respect because we have to cover those items, those expendable items, within the period of the lease. That way we know that those are paid for and we try and make our money on top of the actual lease and everything itself. The good thing about it is when things are slow and people are renting for 30 days, rents are usually lower. So it kind of absorbs that amount, and prices fluctuate a little bit from that. We're in the same situation everybody else is right now. Rents are so high that, once we do them, we don't have much choice. The prices have to go up as the rents do, so.
And we're taking out longer term leases to keep our prices as consistent as possible.
Right.
Because when we talk to a client and we say, okay, we can get you in here at $150 a day, and then it renews in 2 weeks and now it's
Yeah.
$200 a day, we get a lot of screaming and yelling on the phone.
And we had apartments.
You're
seriously,
gouging
when-
us. No, we're not. We're paying our bills.
When things picked up this last time, we had apartment rents that went from $900 a month to $1,900 a month in 1 month.
What?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they would go from $900 a month to $1,900 when we went to renew them. And, there's
That
not
same
really-
unit, that same little crappy unit we had,
So you're subletting all of these?
subletting everything.
The
We don't own
apartments,
any.
we also
We don't own
sublet.
anything.
Master lease,
Now, who signs your lease?
LLC.
Through the company.
Now, who signs for the custom, like, do you sign through the corporation?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yes.
does the
Yeah.
end user?
No, we sublet it, so we rent an apartment, whether we have a
We're
client.
responsible for all of the apartments,
Right.
basically.
Everything is in our name. We want control of everything. So we rent an apartment, we put it in our name, we connect all the utilities, we furnish it, we do everything, and then we rent it to a client. And we have a lease with our client, but we are responsible for everything.
Now, the client, is it the end user or is it
Yes.
the corporation? Like,
Same
the-
thing.
No, I mean,
The
like,
ten-
the
the
corporation
tenant-
that's, like, you're actually going in individuals, not,
No, most of our clients, about 90% are corporations.
okay.
They're Apache or Salisbury or
And they sign
Schlumberger.
it and then just bring in whoever.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm just curious, subleasing is okay in
Mhm.
most apartments?
We haven't run into any problems with anybody yet.
But I mean, you go to the apartment complex owner openly, like, we're going to sublet
Yes.
this floor of apartments.
Yes.
They're very familiar with us at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, most of them that we're doing now are the newer apartment complexes. We were in all the old ones because there weren't any even during the last boom. But as they built them, a lot of the leasing agents move around and we're familiar with them. They're pretty familiar with us, so.
But it's best to go in right
It
from the
is.
beginning, very open about what you're going to do.
Right.
Yes, they
And
know.
we sign everything that says we're responsible for anything that happens to the apartment, and they understand that, so. And honestly, we do run into some, when things get real busy, the apartment complexes start looking at us and going, we don't want to rent any apartments to them, because we can rent them to individuals. But it usually takes about a month or two into the next boom, when the apartment complexes start looking at it and saying, hey, you know what? These people bring us on the first of the month, every month, without us calling or hassling them. They bring us a check for $35,000, and we don't have to chase 35 people over here. So let's go ahead and rent them some apartments, you know?
Right.
So we kind of go through this cycle every time. It kind of goes up and down a little bit, but, you know, we've kind of gotten used to it, and, you know, it seems to work, but.
Right. And you build a relationship with, we think of the properties, the apartment leasing office, they're our partners. They make us look good, we make them look good. And if we find someone that doesn't make us look good, we don't work with them very long. In other words, they don't do good maintenance, or they treat us bad, or they don't return our phone calls or whatever. We don't want to work with them much.
So what about, you said the hotels are charging the hotel fees and stuff like that, so do you guys not have to worry about that?
No, if our leases to our clients are longer than 30 days, that, what do you call it? Eliminates a
Hotel
tax.
Because it's housing. It's long-term housing. It's after 30 days, over 30 days.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What kind of terms, well, like in terms of duration, do you usually get from these apartment complexes? for
As far as how
yourselves?
long our leases are, we try to, as much as possible, we try and match our lease with our client's lease. Okay, so the client calls us and says, hey, I need to rent an apartment for 90 days. Typically, that's what we try and do. Now, we do have a group of what we call our stock apartments that we have longer leases on. And it's usually in complexes that we know, regardless of what's going on, we can rent these apartments out. So, and that's probably, I would guess at this point, 35 or 40% of the apartments that we have. The rest of them, we try and match leases. And that's good, except when things are real busy like this, if we don't get an early enough notice from our client that they want to extend, a lot of times we have to move them because the apartments have already released the apartment. In most cases, we try and start dealing with this anywhere from 60 to 45 days out so that we know we can extend an apartment lease with the apartment complex and we don't get caught in that situation. But it's best, especially if you've got a bunch of them, if you can match your lease with your clients. That just protects you in the long run and you don't end up with a bunch of empty apartments that you can't do anything with. So, but one of the things I want to say is whether you're doing this with houses that you have, or whether you're doing apartments, or however you're trying to do it, one of the advantages of doing a corporate lease and supplying everything is that if you have an issue with getting rent paid, and with businesses, unfortunately, you do sometimes. The businesses out here think 60 or 90 day pay is fine. Well, how many of you can afford to be out paying for all of these rents for 90 days. I can't, you
And all
know,
the
so,
utilities.
so
Right.
we have to teach them, you've got to pay the first of each month. And sometimes that's a learning process for new companies. But the advantage of supplying the whole package to a company as opposed to just leasing them a house or just leasing them an apartment is that if you have an issue with this, whether it's an individual or a company,
Where they don't pay.
and
What-
they don't
they're
pay,
late or what.
and they don't pay, is you have all the furniture leased, you have all of the cable and everything else leased. Now, I don't think, still in the state of Texas, I don't think you can shut off electricity and vital things to a renter. That's illegal. They have to be able to have that. But if you go in and you pick up all your furniture, and you turn off their cable and their internet, and they're sitting there on the floor, they will leave.
They will leave.
Yeah, well, it never fails.
Oh,
We've
yes.
never had an issue with it. you know? So-
Cable and Wi-Fi are the first things we turn off. And this is after an extensive collection period. We don't just go, it's a fifth, you're up, you know. We work really hard with these clients. But yeah, you turn off their Wi-Fi and they're gonna call you.
Sure.
And so many
My
times they
cable's
call and
not
say,
working.
hey, my cable's out. Oh, really? Well, we can fix that, but we do need your rent.
That's how we get
Companies are
lots.
doing or the
You shut
individuals?
Wi-Fi off,
That's right.
everybody comes
Companies are not
outside.
paying?
It really
Sometimes.
works.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
because
can't
they're
do that
on, you're on a
anymore.
90-day,
Shut off
or
Wi-Fi,
they think they
everybody comes
can,
outside. Next thing you know, we got kids running around.
they can write it like they do everybody else.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Especially the bigger companies, you know, they have 90 to 180 day pay period.
And they don't want to.
You've never
reduce it
dealt with
to
a big
30.
company? Oh, no. So that's when you make collection calls to their accounting department and tell them their employees that are sleeping in your house are about to be sleeping in their own car.
So that's a bad thing, renting to corporations.
No, it's not bad, because a lot of companies are great at pay. But you do have to be serious about your collection efforts sometimes.
The biggest issue.
I would say our collections are maybe 1%.
Yeah.
They're not much. But don't think just because you're renting to Chevron that you're gonna get your check on time. I promise you. You'd rather have a credit card on file. And that's another thing, does everybody take credit cards? Okay, you need
Good
to.
idea, too, yeah.
PayPal is the easiest way, it's how it started, PayPal. Take credit cards, keep their credit card on file. And then just tell them, put it in your lease, we're gonna charge your rent the first of the month. That way you don't have to do it anymore.
Because that credit card bill's getting paid.
Oh, yeah.
A lot, yeah. That bill's getting paid. before
Usually,
you're-
yeah.
A lot of times out here, the issues that we have with companies, in particular, in paying their bills, is that these companies are getting bought and sold left and right. Or they change their accounting people, and they change their accounting systems, and then they throw you into that loop of, well, we changed accounting systems 6 months ago, and we haven't got it all sorted out yet, and, you know, unfortunately, we ran into this problem with GE, which is a huge company. GE paid us great for a year and a half, they've been in apartments, and then all of a sudden, they just quit paying. And we went 6 months down the road without a payment from them. And it got down to the point where we had exhausted everything else, and I finally called them and I said, hey, look, you know, here's the situation. We are gonna have your people move out of these apartments if you guys can't find a way to cut us a check. And they said, well, we've changed accounting. I said, I've already heard all of this, we've already been through all of this. Well, we just adopted a new program that says if we don't have a PO for it, we're not paying it. And I said, well, we have a program that says if you don't pay, you don't stay. So you guys decide what you want to do. We got to check the next day. So, you know, they understand this. They don't want their employees to be put out. But you do have to deal with these people that just, you know, they want to kick you down the road because they're used to doing that. And the bigger the company, the more likely they are to do it to individuals or smaller companies. And so sometimes you do have to get stern with them. But, you know, for the most part, it works out pretty well. And a lot of times, like I say, with the buyouts and the accounting changes, it just takes a little while to get to the right person and explain to them, you know, look, we have to pay these rents on the first of the month. If we don't, your people are gonna get thrown out. So that means you have to pay us on the first of the month so that we can pay them on the first of the month. And, you know, it's
I think lately the biggest issue has been, we're emailing it to someone and that person's not there anymore. And so we're emailing it to nobody. That has happened more often than not lately.
They're
So,
willing to put the credit card. They
yes, oh, yes. And a big thing, most of them, and we even have some that want us to direct wire their money out of their account. We love that one.
Yeah, banks cover that, that's why.
Yeah, love it,
And
love it.
it's cheap.
There's no cost except for
Flat
charge.
fee.
Yeah.
You need to be aware on ACHs that at any point, they can refuse those ACHs, not just the ones that are coming out. They can actually come back and dispute them.
Yeah,
Yep.
we have
Down the
I have a
road.
disclosure.
Oh,
It really
Yeah,
helps
even
to
with
Does it
write all
matter?
out.
Even with that. So-
Right, that's what helps to write all that out, so when they get my attorney's letter, things change, but yeah, you do have to dispute it, my bank's good at disputing it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. they're a good
We have
bank.
run into that a couple of
Yeah.
times.
We
We
had
actually had a-
6 months of rent taken out of our checking account for somebody because an employee was taking it from an employer that they shouldn't, yeah.
And
So
we
she had a whole
actually-
embezzlement
And we
thing.
actually had his information on all the forms, his driver's
Signature.
license, his signature, the guy that owned the company. But,
We think wife didn't know that she was doing this, and
And
then
then-
she started taking
Well,
accounting and
and-
figured out
well,
why.
well,
Oh, you know.
I think she was having an affair with boss.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
When wife found out,
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
wife
I know.
found out and
She
all
said
the
it in a
crap,
nice
you know.
way.
Thank
she
you.
was really
She got
cool
this.
about it.
She got it.
He's just like.
Her wife found out and didn't know, and now all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
Everything
why
went
she
to
wasn't,
crap,
you
so.
know. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So I'm question on furniture. You said you lease all the furniture?
We did when we first started.
Oh, okay.
We
We still do. We just lease it from ourselves now.
Okay.
We leased from New Avenues when we first started, and, you know, it started with 1 or 2 apartments here, maybe 4 on the weekend, and then we were getting like 24 a week, and they couldn't keep up with us.
Okay.
So, after being very frustrated and us buying every piece of furniture that we could local, Monty finally looked at the bottom of a dresser and said, let's call this company and see if they can do it. So now we're distributors for Ashley and Coaster. So, yeah, so that's how we started our furniture rental company. It was out of desperation, and we needed furniture because nobody else could. I mean, we were getting rental companies out of Dallas to bring it here because we couldn't find it. So yeah, so now we do furniture rental and housewares. And so you just need to make sure if you're renting it from somebody, like if you go to New Avenues or you go to, where's the other, Buddies or wherever, that they know what you want, you've got a good deal, and they don't provide housewares, so you need to make sure you get your housewares. Or you can come to us and we'll give it all to you. Set it up, and you'll be happy.
Housewares is including all the kitchen utensils and all
Yeah,
that.
Everything.
Utensils, pots,
Bedding.
pans,
Yep.
bedding, towels, sheets.
Towels.
Those towels walk out the door a lot, don't they?
They do.
Mine
They
do
do.
too.
That's why you put it in your lease. You can want, you can take them if you want
Oh,
to, because you
I'm
paid
happy
for
if I
it.
take them, I get
Yeah.
them ones.
Yeah.
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 How much
And-
does it cost for, let's say, a one-bedroom furniture?
A one-bedroom furniture, if you do it, let's say you do it for under 90 days or under, one bedroom's on average gonna be about $350 a month.
If you go to one of the
Yeah.
furniture rental stores here, they're gonna be considerably higher than us. And part of that reason is because that's not our main business. That's not what we're trying to make a lot of money on. We wanna try and help people out if we can doing that, but that's really not our staple business. It became a necessity for us because of the amount of money we're spending on rental furniture. You know, when your rental furniture bill gets up to $30,000, $40,000 a month, that's just time to do something different. So, you know, that's how we ended up in the furniture business. And we rent furniture to other companies. We rent furniture to other housing, or other corporate housing companies. Corporate housing is kind of a strange, it's kind of an anomaly as far as businesses go, because there are a lot of corporate housing companies throughout the country, but most of them are stationed in one area like we are. This is our main area, and we're really the only ones here that have boots on the ground that do the whole package. So when all of these people are getting relocated from Houston, they call their relocation company in Houston that they're used to dealing with, and they call us.
So the Houston Corporate Housing Company calls us.
So we're selling to them, and they're selling to their clients.
And we make it look
So-
like Joe Blow Corporate Housing out of
Right.
Houston was here.
Yeah.
And
so-
we're just the little elves that go in and set it up and say, yes, it's time, it's ready.
What's your furniture business called?
Corporate Furniture
So Hennessey Group, is that you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And you, so it, when I showed the map earlier, it was like all over the United States.
Because we've got partners everywhere. Like the Houston people call us, we can call, North Dakota, we can call Las Vegas, we can call Seattle, we can call wherever. And we've got partners there, and they make it look like we're there.
So,
What is
yeah, that's right.
your all's contact information?
Our office is 695-6542. And you can email either of us at info@corp-rental.com.
And if y'all write it down wrong or something, and don't get through, just contact me and I'll forward you.
The other thing I was gonna say is, we don't have any houses right now, but if anybody has houses that they would like to do this with, contact us and we can put it on our list as far as availabilities, because we do have companies that look for houses. We have companies that would prefer houses over apartments, but housing rental right now is hard to find. I mean, the ones that are out here are pretty much rented, and the other ones, people want to sell them. So we had a client that was in a house for 4 years, and, got kicked out 2 months ago. They said, hey, we're selling the house, y'all gotta go, your lease is up next month, so you're out of here, and they're still like, well, where are we supposed to go? We have to put them in apartments because we can't find a house. So, we're always willing to work with somebody. If you've got a house or something, we have clients calling us for them, so.
I have a question about that. So I have rentals, and I had spoke to some people that kind of know the business a little bit. And I was told that, because most of my houses are in middle-class working family homes. They're in older areas, they're not the newer ones so I don't think those are ideal. Is that not correct? That's what I'm being told.
No, that is very incorrect. Those, if you, let me say it this way, if you're charging VIP prices, then yes, that's gonna be hard to rent. If you're charging a reasonable amount, companies will put workers in there. And
What's a reasonable amount?
right now for like a 3-bedroom house, I would say 2,000.
That's furnished?
No,
Oh,
that's empty.
right. Okay, so charging the corporate for what?
Well, so like you rent it out empty for $2,000 a month to me. I put furniture in, connect to utilities, I get it all ready, and I rent it to my client. You're still getting your $2,000.
And you're just getting.
And
We're gonna do all the rest of the stuff and do our markup on that. So,
Generally, I think workers are going for about $600 a man a month for worker guys. And that's what they're looking for to pay.
Yeah,
A lot.
they're not gonna find
They're
it.
not gonna find it.
I'm like, where are they? Please give me that
depends on how
address.
many you can put in there,
Let's
I
say
guess,
6
so,
months ago,
yeah.
that's what they were paying.
Yeah.
I will tell you, my nose keeps itching. They want to, for workers, they want to shove as many people in legally as they can. Well, they want illegally, they don't care, but I have to keep it legal. So the most we'll do is six twins in a 3-bedroom apartment, and that keeps it legal. And so in that aspect, probably the best rate we can give them is about $45 to $50 a day is what it's gonna cost for employee.
I don't know if leasing houses, if there's any, I don't know in the state of Texas on leasing houses if there's any stipulation. I do know in apartment complexes, the TSA lease says there's a maximum of 2 adults per bedroom. If there's not anything as far as housing, and I'm not that familiar with the housing rental, to be honest with you, if there's not, it's a good idea to put it in your lease. That way you've got something to tell these people, no, you can't have 15 people staying in this house. It's a 3-bedroom house, and we don't want you to put 15 people in there and totally destroy our house. So it would be a good idea to make sure that's in your contract if it's not. So.
And that's another thing too, that we've had to get very, very detailed on damages. Very, very detailed. Down to, the little door stop that stops the little plasticky thing, $1.50 for that. Because apartments are charging us $1.50 for that. So it's stupid in my opinion. But nail holes, I think, are $1. Those little cappy things are $1.50. It's just, you have to get specific, or they'll walk out with whatever and take the sink with you. We had a house that they took the hot water heater.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the other thing about corporate league, yeah, they did.
Really needed a hot water heater.
The other thing about corporate leasing is if you do that, take a lot of pictures.
That's a lot of
You can't
pictures.
imagine how many
Yes.
pictures we take.
Oh,
We take pictures before we move into the apartment. We take pictures after we get everything in the apartment of everything that we put in the apartment from multiple angles, because
The refrigerator,
the back
all
of the
those little
couch
fun
was not
plastic shelves.
ripped before.
You
Here's a
take a
picture
picture
of
of
it, you know. And then we take pictures as soon as they move out. We have a crew that goes in, takes pictures of everything. That way
My
if there's
favorite
any
is,
damages-
a table is supposed to have 4 legs like
Oh,
this,
no.
and one's like, it was like that when we moved in.
Uh-huh.
No,
Or-
no, it wasn't. We wouldn't rip
Or
that
they gotta sit
to you.
under the corner with a piece of duct tape.
Oh, my God.
So, we've seen just about
That's
everything.
Wild Night of Shooters took care of that
You know,
table.
corporate especially, because if you can prove to a company that it was not this way when they moved in, they'll pay for it. Because most of the time, you're dealing with somebody in a corporate office that really, not the people that were in the apartment, but when you prove to them that they damaged the stuff, a lot of times they'll garnish their wages or whatever to get their money back, but they will pay for it, so.
And so I've got a couple of advantages and disadvantages of corporate housing. I mean, this is our livelihood. This is what we do. We've got, other than that, we've got 4 rental properties, and we rent those to regular Joe Blows, and they take care of all of their stuff. And that's really so we don't get a call from them every day saying their Wi-Fi code doesn't work, or their electricity blinked off last night, or my light bulb went out, I ran out of toilet paper, or whatever. Those calls are just high maintenance. Corporate is good. When we started the business, we decided let's just rent to corporations. That way we can go after them. Because usually companies are going to pay. Sometimes they pay a little late, but they usually are going to pay. Because if you go after a company's credit, it doesn't get fixed. That is it. A person, a normal Joe Blow, can fix their credit. Companies can't. So they don't want that credit to get ruined. So that's why we chose companies to go after. But because of that, you do have to deal with some high maintenance people and stuff. Plus also, one of the advantages is we have one contact that we deal with, but the people that are usually staying in the unit are not the people that are responsible for the unit, so you're gonna get a lot of damages. So just make sure, cover your rear in your lease.
Another thing about rentals in this area, the good thing about rentals in this area, and we tell this to everybody, one of the best things about it is we get the first people coming in and we get the last people going out.
Right.
Because when they start coming in, they're looking for a place to rent, and they're gonna stay here and keep renting until the last people leave and turn the lights off. So the last turn down that we had, or slow down that we had, was probably about 6 months shorter for our business than it was for the oil field and the other people. Because like I say, we had the first ones coming in, we had the last ones going out, we had the first ones coming back in. So, and we can tell, we've done this, we haven't done it very long, really. We've done it for 6 years now, which doesn't seem like a very long time, but we've done it long enough that we can tell by who's renting the apartments what's fixing to happen.
You can tell us what the booms.
Right?
Yeah.
You can tell.
Or we can tell you when the bus is gonna happen too. We'll
When
be
the
like,
admins start
okay,
coming in, you know, it's fixing to
so.
get busy, and then they're followed by the workers and everybody else. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing to watch the rentals in this area, and it's always good because your rentals are always the first ones to go when people start coming in, and they're always the last ones to go.
Well, and it's funny because the execs are the first people to come in because they're coming in kind of, surveying the land, and then the workers are usually the last ones to go. So,
Where are we in the cycle things?
I'm sorry?
Where are we in the cycle now?
Yeah, we're right in the height of it.
We're right
I
in
mean,
it, yeah.
everybody wants, everybody is coming here. Everybody.
Contracts are
When did
out
this
these
start?
4 years.
This boom.
We started last year about
October
October last year?
2017, yeah.
Really?
And another thing that we noticed, because we do cater to our clients as far as, like she said, changing beds out. They want queen beds. They want, the first group that came in, we rented more king beds than we ever wanted to even see.
We were like, we're out of king beds and don't have room for king beds.
We had storage containers full of twin beds. And everybody was saying, why don't we sell all those twins? Nobody wants twins. Now we can't get enough twins.
Right.
You know, all the kings and the queens are back in the warehouse, and we got twins in every place now. So, you know, it cycles through, and we just kind of keep telling everybody, you know, those are gonna go in a little bit, just hold on, you know, so.
And it cycles with 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms too. Right now, we can't keep 2 and 3 bedrooms. 1 bedrooms we couldn't give away if we wanted to. And in fact, we had a sales meeting on Monday and I said, give them away. Just break even, just get rid of these things because they're costing us money.
We couldn't even find a 1 bedroom. They were just all gone. I mean, everybody wanted 1 bedroom, so.
Right.
So now people want 2, 3 bedrooms?
2 and 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Not
Because
one.
everybody's moving here now are the workers, and a lot of them want to bring their families with them, or they have several workers that they want to put in one apartment. So they want to put 4 people or 6 people in an apartment, so they want a 2 or 3 bedrooms, so.
What about 4 bedrooms?
Yes, 4 bedrooms will go fast. That very fast, yeah. So some advantages to corporate housing are longer contracts. One-year contracts right now, everybody's wanting them long-term. You can also charge higher rents.
And there are companies that will pay you the full year.
Oh, yeah?
So-
Just write one check for the full year.
Upfront.
Upfront.
Yeah, yeah, we have several companies that do that.
We love those companies. Yeah, the other one.
Who are these companies?
Higher rent rates right now, higher ratio of payment, so we're getting more payments in than if we had to rent 50 units to 50 individual people. That would not be fun to have to do collections. And they want a lot of units, they want multiple units, which is good if you have multiple places to put them. So disadvantages are some are slow pay. So that's why I would say either get the wire set up or credit card on file. And a lot of times just because you have a credit card on file doesn't mean it'll always go through. But it's good to have it though. Another disadvantage is they want to shove too many people in a unit, which basically tears up your place.
And how do you account for how many people are in the unit?
Well, in your lease, housekeeping's a good way, but in your lease, you should put in there that you can do monthly inspections. We change our air filters a lot. Stuff like that. That's how we get in. They rotate a lot of people in and out, so if you are one of the people that really, really, really want to know who's in your unit, you may not know because that person's fired or that person isn't working this week or whatever, so.
Will they maintain the lease if they get rid of somebody, or will they try to terminate?
Sometimes they will. We've had companies that said, we got it just for this guy and he didn't work out, so now can we get out of it? And the way we handle that is we don't have a termination clause in our lease. You're responsible for the lease because you signed the lease. So what we do, especially in a busy time right now, is we'll say if we can re-rent it, then we'll
Release you from that day.
Right, but it's going to be that date. So you're responsible. So on June 1st, we bill you for all of June. And we may have rented it June 5th. We'll reimburse you after that, yeah. So another disadvantage is the people that are staying in the unit aren't always the people that are paying for the unit, so there's less respect for your place. And that's what sucks about a house. Especially if you love your house, that's going to be tough. These are apartments.
Right.
There's no feelings, so we just know that we're going to have to go in. That's why we take a ton of pictures.
But on personal property, on houses and things like that, like I say, if you take pictures, show damages, do it in a timely manner. Don't come up 45 days later and say, hey, we're not going to refund your deposit because they damaged this stuff. You need to let us know right away, or let the companies know, or however you're doing it right away. They typically will take care of it. The other thing, as far as doing houses as opposed to apartments, is do take bigger deposits because you've got more there than they can damage. So the houses that we leased, we took quite a bit bigger deposits on it than we did than we do typically on our apartments. So.
The 2 months deposit, that's typical, or?
Not 2 months.
Yeah, we
That's
usually
gonna
do
be
a
hard
month.
to do. I actually,
we do
if we,
$1,000
right, about $1,000. If the rent is $3,000, we'll take $2,000. If the rent's $1,500, we'll take $1,000. Kind of like that. So no, we don't. I will bet it'll be hard to find somebody who'll pay 2 months rent, or as a deposit. And then also, talk about pets. We allow pets, because a lot of people who are here, we get a lot of traveling nurses, and those sweeties just always have some little poodle that they want to bring that's blind and, you know, it's always potty trained, but never is potty trained. So you do want to take a deposit, and now it's a big thing to charge pet rent. Never did that like 3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
Right. I know, when I moved here, I was looking at apartments and they wanted pet rent, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I mean, I know.
my pet doesn't have a job, he can't pay his rent, I don't know what you're doing. So yeah, pet rent's a big thing. And then
What is pet rent?
pet deposit or pet rent?
A pet does have
Pet rent is $20 to
appreciation
$25 a month.
property. So people have put pets up there.
How much a month?
It's a value.
$20 to $25 a
I
month.
think that's
Oh,
what we
no, that's
paid.
not what I was
So
doing.
my
Oh,
apartment
really?
complex is 400 deposit and 40 a month.
Yeah, see, it's about 50 a month on average.
Oh.
Yeah, it's went up a little bit, because when we moved here in 12 for the house, we paid 25 for.
And the deposit's non-refundable, is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, there's
Which is
a
why-
fee, which is non-refundable, and there's a fee, and then there's a
You
deposit,
can't
there's two
get the
different
hair
things.
out.
A lot of times they'll
They're
charge you a pet
always
fee and a pet deposit.
Yeah.
They may charge you as much as 400 of each. The pet fee will not be refundable. The pet deposit will be if there's no damage. So that way they can collect $800 and, you know, may or may not give it back
And you
to
get to fight them for it at the end if, yeah. So again, lots of pictures, lots and lots and lots of pictures.
But if you're leasing one of your private properties, it's not a bad idea to do that. I mean, people are really attached to their pets. They spend a lot of money on their pets, so for them to come up with $800 to be able to bring their pet with them, most people will do it, you know.
Or just not bring it, and that's okay too.
Pay rent.
So one thing I've been seeing is I sell manufactured homes, and I've been having companies go out there trying to buy them. I have an acre of land that I've been thinking about leasing out to companies.
Yeah.
I just need to start developing it. Would that be something?
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to develop it, and you can speak to this, is if it's an RV, because you don't have to be connected to anything, right?
You have to have septic and water.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
yeah,
but even that
that's-
stuff, you can get
that's-
tanks, you can have people pump huge tanks, you don't have to have septic.
I would, but that's just me.
Right.
If it's sitting out there and you're paying for it.
500 people moving in a day.
Yeah,
What?
Wow.
500 a day?
a day.
But
Yeah.
people moving here?
Yep.
A day?
Don't y'all see our
A
roads?
day.
Oh, yeah, I see the roads, but I'm just like,
It's a lot of people.
Hey, play I Spy on license plates in Middle
Oh,
of
yeah,
this,
for
guys.
sure. I did that coming up here.
Well, you got single companies that are moving 6,000 families in, so that's a lot of people, you
Yep.
know?
We move RV park, we move all spaces to one company, we don't rent individual very often.
Oh, really? I bet they appreciate that. So,
Well, yeah, because they show up one place, grab all their guys in one truck and haul
And
out.
they've got a community there that everybody
That's
knows
right,
each other,
that's
so.
it.
It's just good unless they're fighting on the job.
I was gonna say, that's the one thing you have to worry about, right?
You got feuds going on.
You
so.
got feuds
Well, that's what
going
man
on.
cams are for. It's like big dorms full of men fighting over whatever. So yeah, the only negative I would see to that is if that company loses their job or their contract or whatever.
Well, at this
So
point, we have a.
that's
warehouse.
true. Today it wouldn't matter, but
But even in our downturns though, we just change we have the same product, we just have to find the right buyer. And we're in, apartments, et cetera, but I can go through statistics all day long and patterns, but this is back to, modern living is now back to affordable, mobile living. Everybody from grandma to your 20-year-olds in a travel trailer. We have everybody from doctors to teachers to oil field. So we just changed it. We went to more professionals during our downturn.
in RVs, huh? That's good. That's what we did with furniture. That's why I know Julie is because we went to home staging because we had furniture sitting there, not making any
Yeah,
money.
staging's good.
So we did home staging, and now I get no calls from home staging.
By the time we get the furniture in, it's already sold. So.
Oh, yeah.
Prestige.
If I get a call right now from a realtor saying, could you talk to me about staging? I'm like, what kind of crap house do you have? Nobody wants it right now, that's sad. So,
But when everything goes downhill and you've got 200 or 300 apartments worth of furniture,
Yeah,
it's a good thing to do with it. you
yeah,
know?
Yeah.
you start staging,
Interesting.
so yeah.
Contingency plans. I would just like to throw out, I kind of need some personal opinions here. I'm struggling right now. The house that I just bought that I'm remodeling, It is 3-2, and it actually has a swimming pool. But the swimming pool needs to be redone. So I was gonna just fill it up with dirt because of liability and et cetera.
I would say that would be the best bet.
Is that
That's
the
my
best?
opinion.
That's expensive.
policy, you have to have it like.
Yeah.
It is
it's
expensive to do.
And then you need to check with your county or your city, because they don't all just allow you just to
Throw
fill
dirt.
in.
I wouldn't do that. Pools are very much in demand out here.
I would recommend letting somebody just refurbish it in their lease.
Or just
You'd
put
be
a fence
amazed how
around
many
it.
people will do things for you if you just allow them. But second, you can top that with a deck or something and be way cheaper. So,
Put a fence around it
yeah, fence around it, say it's not.
and say it's out of commission.
As long as the fence around it, you're by law fine, as long as the gate's on latch on the inside, it's one
Turn it
thing.
into a little pond.
But anyways,
Well, after the rains this week, it could be a little hot.
What's wrong with the pool?
I had a friend get in trouble for just throwing dirt in a pool in the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
People do it all the time.
Your septic lines are hooked to the main city, you could be filling the lines with whatever dirt, whatever sediment, whatever, there's all kinds of, anyway.
But I'm just filling
They
in
come
the
up with
pool.
it.
There are no.
Yeah, but you're arguing with a bureaucrat.
We just discussed government wanting more money. Do you think they're gonna let you do that for
Sorry,
free?
I'm just.
It's your
Because your
property.
pool drain has to be tied, if you're in the city, your pool drain is tied into into their sewer system.
Right.
Well, if they don't know I've done it,
Yeah.
those people will
No,
know.
West
Like,
I like the, I don't know, if they don't know.
So
Yeah,
they
they're
count
gonna find
off
out.
the drain.
Well, first
Then they
off,
can throw
our
stuff in. They won't
software
know.
at ECADs or a CAD, ECAD, I've been you know, your appraisal districts now use satellite software that
just gonna
sees
say,
things that
don't do
change,
that.
mark it red and yellow, and they check you. And that's why you have to, you can't hide your shed anymore,
No.
so.
Or your three
can't hide our
containers.
spot.
Four containers.
Next to your shed.
Yeah.
I would tell you how sad it's, or sad or whatever, we have had parking lot sales, because if we put rental furniture out there and it becomes unrentable, which happens a lot. So 2-3 times a year, we have a parking lot sale, 2 days, no big deal. We just got approached by the city of Midland saying that now we have to have a permit
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
for a garage
Our
sale.
garage, yeah, I was gonna say.
Because
the
we're a
garage
company,
sale.
and we have lots of money, and so we can pay for a fee now.
Midland only
Right.
allows a one garage sale.
But that's the lemonade.
Well,
stand.
and that's
you
a
get a permit.
person, but a company can't even do one. You have to have a permit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good, it's
So
fun.
you're-
Because you went from a rental company to a sales company.
No, because they drove by and we were having a sale, that we've had 3 times a year for 7
They want
years.
another fee.
Yeah.
That's
it's all-
right.
It's all tax
Huh?
fees.
When is your next one?
When we get enough furniture,
We
then,
can't do it but every 6 months anyway. Even with a permit, you can only do it every 6 months for 2 days, so, you know.
Well, next time you get some that you want to put out for sale, let me know.
we just had one last week.
Did you really?
We did, sorry, forgot to call you. Yeah, 2 days and lots of sunbirds, and we got rid of a lot of stuff. It was good.
And you can't imagine it gets crazy what people will buy.
Oh, imagine if there's no furniture available.
Well, furniture but we put all the housewares out there that we can't reuse. People burn a pan, you know, we throw them in a bucket. You know, we used to, we throw all that stuff away. Now we just throw it in a box. Somebody came by and bought a box full of pots and pans for $500, you know? Probably didn't cost that much brand new, you know, I'll be honest with you.
With all the matching stuff with it. This was
Yeah.
just a pan. Yeah,
so,
that didn't have a lid. They bought all of it.
yeah.
$500 done. Where do you
Stained
want to put
towels,
it?
you know, stained towels and sheets and
Pillows that had been used and
pillows that
abused.
you don't even want to know.
No,
You
right.
don't want to see them, but, yeah, whatever.
So question,
Mm-hmm.
since you guys went through 2 cycles now, the
Okay.
bus states, what is a better thing to do if, let's say you have 100 units surrounded? Is it better to rent it to a typical middle class or typical worker people working at a city or school or hospital by taking a lower rent, let's say $1,000 a unit versus, because the market is high, renting for $1,500 or whatever to the oil companies, and knowing that maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to go back to $1,000 or $800 or $600. What is the, because you went through the cycle, what is the best approach? Is it better to go and have these solid people that they would be consistently
Well,
paying and they're good?
The word everybody tells you in business, diversify, we've got both. our houses, we actually have some of both in. And, you
We've
know,
got a little house in Odessa that rents for $850 and has been rented for $850 for 8 years. And it's very cheap, but it's a small house, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, no central air conditioner. So we feel good, and we can keep. What I would tell you to think about is the middle class is consistent. It's gonna be.
And they take better care of your property, because they want, that's their home, that's where they live.
Right.
When you're renting it to a corporation, if you've got a higher priced place that you wanna rent out, you wanna get some money for it, you know, it's a great thing to do. We got a property we just bought in West Odessa that's more expensive. It's a big 3-bedroom house. We've got it released to a company for a year. But the other properties that we have here that are smaller houses, they're leased to individuals, and they're consistent.
And we have
They take
less
care of the
problem with
properties.
those people than we do with the companies.
Yeah.
Less headaches, less phone calls saying, come, you know, bring me more toilet paper. The other ones we don't hear about unless there's like a rat or something weird.
Yeah, because I went through one, I rented 100 of them to whoever came. I'm going to rent another probably 70 of them. So I was kind of trying to see what is the best approach for the long term versus short term gain.
Yeah, it's consistent, and those people are not going anywhere. You know, the teacher is gonna be in Midland. If they can find someplace to live, they're gonna stay here. Their salary's not going up, it's not going down, it's gonna be consistent. And like you said, they're gonna take care of it because it's their home now. It's not just a place my company brought, you know, we're paying $5,000 a month, so screw them, I'm taking this, you know, hot water heater with me, or whatever. So they just treat it differently.
And don't take this wrong, we love the oil field, that's what keeps us in business.
Oh, love oil field.
But when you got that guy that, you know, was working at Burger King 3 months ago, and now that he's got this $25 an hour job driving this oil field truck, and he wants to come rent your nice house,
he's still gonna treat it like he did
when things
when
go downhill, he's gonna be the one that's gonna walk out and say, hey, I ain't got the money, I ain't paying no more. So, you know, those things, unfortunately, you have to look at too.
So do you have the same kind of property damage problems when you have VIPs or execs in a unit?
We don't, no. Typically, when we have, the most damages that we have are gonna be when they've got, especially when they've got crews that are moving in and out of the apartment. That's
or
gonna be the worst.
execs that bring their kids or their pets.
Yeah,
So you're gonna have carpet, you're gonna have, we've had TVs knocked over by kids and or dogs, and then pee stains. You know, we've got the best carpet people. Not gonna share their name with you because I don't want y'all to look them up. Just Scotch Guard everything. Execs, you don't have like, you know, holes in your walls or anything like that, but you do have kids.
Crazy boots or parking their motorcycle inside the apartment.
That's fun.
So, you know,
Smoking, a lot of them smoke for some reason, and they'll smoke.
And we've also had executive apartments that we've leased to companies just for their executives, and they might not even have anybody in it for months at a time. They'll call and say, hey, this thing's been empty for 3 months, and we've got some VIPs coming in from Houston or Chicago or someplace, can y'all come clean it up for us? You know, and we go out and send a housekeeping crew out to clean it up. So, you know, there's kind of pros and cons to that both ways, but typically just the average worker is going to do a lot more damage than the VIPs are.
So when a company has some of their C-suite higher paid VIPs that they want to have housing available for, will they keep that booked for a period of time?
A lot of times they will. Yeah, we've had companies that have had, you know, had an apartment for a couple of years that just had it here so that when they had people coming in.
Empty.
So when they had executives come in that have a place for them to stay, they didn't have to find them a hotel room. They leave, they usually tell us to go clean it. If it's been a while, they'll tell us, can you go do a touch-up clean on it before these people get here, so.
But another downside to that, we're usually, one of us is green light, one of us is red light usually. The downside to that is they may be gone for a month, and when they come back on Sunday night, air conditioner has gone out, or the cable's not working out. And so you have to think about that kind of stuff. An empty apartment is not gonna have anybody that will give you any of the maintenance that's going on.
But if they let us do a refresh clean, hopefully that's something our crews will catch, because they know to go in and check everything, make sure the hot water's working, make sure the
The
cable's
toilet's
working, make
working,
sure the
yeah.
Wi-Fi works, make sure the air conditioner's working, or heater, or whatever the case may be, make sure the water in the shower works, you know, the washer and dryer work. They check all of those things when we do a refresh for them, so.
Are those types of tenants bringing their families when they come on the one-off?
I hear sometimes they'll bring like the kid for 1 week during the summer kind of situation, and that's where they really want a pool or something for their kid to do.
So some
But
of those
not-
might be less rooms.
Yeah, usually they'll do 1 or 2 rooms, so yeah.
Most of the VIPs, if they're renting for VIPs, they won't get anything less than a 2-bedroom though. I mean, even if they only use 1 bedroom, they want a 2-bedroom.
And sometimes they'll set the other room up as an office, if it's just them. Yeah, it's true.
Did you have a question?
Is that a checklist you go by when your people go in and
Yes.
make sure?
Yeah, well, we have several checklists, actually. We have the pre-move-in checklist, we have after move-in checklist, we've got,
We've
you
got a
know,
picture
vacate
picture
checklist.
checklist. There's a picture.
Yeah,
Here's
and
everything that
checklists
needs a
for,
picture.
pictures for each of them too, so.
We need a picture of the Wi-Fi working, we need a picture of the cable working, we need a picture of the underside of the Wi-Fi box, and inside of drawers, and inside of refrigerator, we have a picture checklist for everything. And we know it because we've gotten screwed so many times.
Most of our
It was
stuff's
like
been
that
trial
when
and
we
error,
moved in.
so.
Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Not your mistakes, but what happens, right?
Exactly.
Less mistakes.
Yeah.
That's how we learned, that's how we learned the best way to price our business, is because I did it as a percentage, and one of my very first ones I got so excited about, and I even priced it a high percentage. At the end of the day, after we paid all the bills, we made net, well, not even net, gross, 16 cents a month. So yeah, we stopped pricing that day, and we learned a new way to do it.
Speaking of pricing, I know you mentioned earlier, so much for a 1-bedroom or so much for a 2-bedroom. What were those prices again?
For a 1-bedroom apartment, on average is going to be $100 to $105 a day.
A day.
And a 2-bedroom is going to be about $125 a day. A 3-bedroom's about $150 to $175.
Is that per person?
It's for the unit. So that way, that's why they want to squeeze so many people in. Those rates do change a little bit because that's for like a queen bed in each room. But if you put 2 beds in each room, now I have to charge a little bit more because I'm putting more housewares in there. I'm putting more furniture in there, that kind of thing. So, but when you're dealing with a company and they want a per person price, so you can say, okay, it's $150 a day. But if you've got 6 people in there, it's, $43 or whatever per day. So.
Okay. And we do adjust housewares and everything else per client. If they put 6 people in there, we put twice the dishes in, twice the towels in, twice the sheets in, because they have more people in there. So, it does cost more to do that.
And if we put a VIP in, we put stainless steel stuff in as opposed to plastic.
And leather.
Leather instead of just fabric. So
Do you have crews moving all this stuff for you?
We have
Yeah.
we have 4 box trucks, 2 crews on each box truck, and then we have 2 managers, and then 2 people just work in the warehouse. So yeah, we've got about 20 people. But it started with just he and I. And we worked a lot of hours.
I'm glad I don't have to carry couches up 3 flights of stairs anymore.
Right, me too, because it started with, the very first one we did, I remember, that wasn't furnished, because my first one was a furnished unit, and I just rented it, I put a little foof on it, and rented it to him, marked it up like $200, and thought I was brilliant. And then, the next one we did was a higher, and this was 8 years ago, so we didn't have all of the new apartment complexes we do. So this was one of the first ones, so I thought we were, hot crap. So we went in, rented the furniture, got the best that we could afford at that time, and went to Walmart and Target and kept every receipt in case this doesn't work out. I'm taking this crap back. And it took me a week to put that unit together. And now we can put 4 or 5 units together in a day. Just shows how your process grows.
When you got started, how did you go about finding your clients?
My very first client I found on Craigslist.
And
That's
let
before
me
the
just tell you,
Craigslist
anybody's
cover
trying to
was
start a business, when she thought up this idea, I first told her, I said, why would anybody do this? This is crazy. And she said, I don't know, but I think they will, so let's try it. So she actually placed an ad for an apartment, fully furnished apartment,
That we didn't have.
that we didn't have. And then the guy calls and says, hey, I want to rent this apartment. And she goes, well, that one's taken, but let me see what I can find for you.
That's how recruiting works, and that's what my background was. That's how I knew how to do that. So, yeah, it was on Craigslist. There used to be, and there might be now, I've been on Craigslist in a while, a place that said rental needed, instead of I have the rental, I need the rental.
Right.
I emailed all those people. That's how I found my first one.
We had a lot of flyers and.
A lot of direct mail, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails. LinkedIn's a good place, a great place to go. You can even rent or put your ad on Airbnb is a good one. Rental.com, rentalhouses.com, those are some good ones. Craigslist.
So the companies are reaching out to you by seeing in all these places, not necessarily you are
We do both. We have sales
We have
people.
we have a sales team.
So they get through the gatekeeper to go to get.
Right.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of money, we spend the equivalent of a salesperson online, but this person's job is to sell. Exactly, so they infiltrate bigger companies and try to get bigger leases. So, yeah. But if I had to do it again and I just had 1 or 2 rent houses to do, Airbnb is a good place to go, except you do know that they charge, and so you're gonna have to pay them a part of that, so you need to make sure you raise your rate. Rentalhouses.com and rentals.com are 2 places that got a lot of business when I first started.
So as far
They
as.
charge as well?
You advertise on it, and so that ad, you pay for that ad. It's like $99 for a month or something like that. But you make that with your first one, plus some, so.
So compared to Airbnb, us working with y'all, what's the difference? As far as.
The advantage to Airbnb is coverage, because they have worldwide coverage, basically. So anybody that's coming to look here for something, a lot of people will go on Airbnb and look for something, just because it's convenient for them, especially big corporate travelers, because, it's easy for them to find, or it's easy for their secretary to look on there and find something. So that's a big advantage to them, is they do a lot of advertising. They do want you to have current information on there, whether it's available or not, what the rates are, all that kind of stuff. They want to have all of that stuff accurate, because you may have a guy get on there and sign up and rent it Friday night and want to move in Saturday morning, so you have to be really careful about those and stay on those. We've listed some apartments on Airbnb off and on, but because especially when we're busy like right now, the market's so volatile, our apartments we very seldom ever have one for a day or so. And so by the time they get them out there and somebody calls on them, we've already leased the apartment, so. In slower times it works okay, but right now it's not.
Or if we have an apartment that maybe we have 2 weeks that it's empty, we'll put it on Airbnb to get those 2 weeks covered, but that's about it.
I've been renting rooms out of my own home
Mhm.
lately. It's ridiculous.
How's that going?
What's the
Well,
worst story? I have to know. What's the worst
I've
story?
had really great success. One was HR from FMC,
Mhm.
yes. And so she was wonderful, very respectful. And I found her through a friend who does Airbnb, and her rooms were booked. And so she said, Renee, do you wanna? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I didn't have to pay Airbnb, so that worked out well. But I'm a nurse as well. And so my hospital's like, Renee, do you have rooms? Because these people can't find rooms. And
Yeah.
so all of them have been really.
That's good.
If you get a professional, I think you're gonna be all right.
That's true. And that's good, and that's what I would want, but with Airbnb, you just never know
You
what
really don't.
creepo you're gonna get, or party, or whatever, serial
is true.
killer.
I do Airbnb.
Have you had a serial killer?
And I'm a serial killer.
Oh, that's good.
I haven't had to evict someone.
Have you?
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it. I actually called Airbnb and told them what was going on. They were smoking weed.
Oh,
No.
And that I had a nurse that was going to come in rent for 3 months. And he not politely declined, he actually told me a bunch of things that I was on Airbnb. You know.
Gave you his review?
Yeah, no, I didn't get a review from him because he never stayed. Because of these people, so, yeah, anyway, I did have them kicked out.
Good.
So that's the beauty of Airbnb, I hear.
Yeah.
Like if I had to do that myself, I'd be like, could you?
Oh, I didn't know you could do that, that's awesome.
Yep.
I guess.
Yeah, they took care of it for me.
So I'm interested, because I have a friend who also is doing it per room, and he's getting like 1,000 per room.
Oh.
For the month.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I was
for
gonna
the
say,
month.
a month? A night?
Yeah. 1,000, but like for a 3-bedroom house, that's what he's doing, he's just renting it out per room or whatever.
So he's got like
an
an empty house and then each person just buys
And he
their
does his
room?
own home too. So, I'm just curious, what do people pay for per room? Are you doing it for nights or like, 'cause I've been doing it months.
I do it per night, I also give a 10% discount per, if they do for 7 days or longer. And then I do a 15% for 30 days or longer.
If you have a, let's say a 3-bedroom house and you're renting out individual rooms on Airbnb, I wonder what liability would be there between 3 different clients that are staying in one house.
I have different clients all the time.
Yeah, no, it's being done left and right.
I have keys on all the doors.
Yeah, it's the lock.
The common areas are the common areas, everybody has access. I have a washer and dryer.
And everybody
I
does.
supply them with all the dishes and everything. And I also supply them with the shampoos and laundry stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I do, and I have been pretty, I've been pretty good. I mean, it's been pretty nice. So I haven't gone through and gotten all my expenses because I started this kind of on a,
Wing and a prayer?
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that works.
That's how we started.
So, and I will do it in my house once my house is finished being remodeled, whenever that will be, because that's the crazy thing.
Since you guys are
I'll talk to you
somebody,
about this.
Oh, I do it, I do a lot of it.
and you kind of
Right now,
mentioned,
scraping on
like,
top of
would you
things.
take on
Yeah, okay.
Tearing up
people's
the floor.
rentals?
I've done all that.
We have done that. It's worked out great. And then I've been
I've
taking
got a
court.
guy lined up.
And here's the good and the bad. The good is with a guy, he was one of the very first people that contacted me and said, hey, I understand you're doing corporate housing, just bought a condo over in Fairmont condos. Those are going like hotcakes right now. Just bought that, I'm in Houston, we remodeled it, can you keep it rented? Can't guarantee anything, I can try. And there have been a lot of months that it's empty, but for the most part, he's made money on it. Actually, he's made money on it every month, but there, have been some slow times too. And plus, Fairmont Condos isn't one of like the A properties in town, so. But as the other one is, we had a guy who was moving out of his house and he wanted to rent it and he wanted to leave all his furniture, and he basically said, can you property manage it? I'm the person that says, sure, we can do that. And I look and go, how do we do that? That's how I roll. That's how I work. So we did it. We did get it rented. And so I signed a contract with him to rent, and then I signed a contract with my client to rent. But our agreement was, unless I had somebody in there, I'm not gonna pay rent because I have no money coming in. He went and got sick. I say that bad, but he got sick, went to the hospital. His sister took over his stuff and decided I was robbing him of something somewhere. Even though we had an agreement, it was all on paper. She turned me into the real estate board, which I'm not a realtor. So they came in and said, we're going to, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a realtor. But it still went to some kind of,
Realtor board.
realtor board, and it came down with a ruling, and I'm like, okay, well, still not a realtor.
Long story short, we are not property managers.
We're not property
In any way, shape, or form.
can't
We
call
don't
ourselves
claim to be
property managers.
property managers at all. We are subletters. And, if you have a property and you want us to try and sublet it for you, we'll be glad to show it to our clients.
We'll market it.
And if it's something that meets their needs, what we do is we're going to put our stuff in it and mark it up. And
And
list
we
it
will
to our
mark
clients.
it up, but we will pay you the rent that you.
We do a base and then you guys.
Right,
put everything over.
right. You tell us what you want to get for it, we'll use that price to price it to our clients.
And that would be the fee, and there'd be no absent fees for the months.
Right.
There's no, if we don't have a client in there, you don't have it,
And
you don't get
typically,
anything.
the way that works is, the one that she's talking about with the apartment that we hold, that we keep rented most of the time, that's kind of a unique situation. Typically, if you came to me and said, hey, I've got a 3-bedroom house, you want to see if you can lease it out, we go to our clients, we market it, one that says, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for. We ask you, what kind of lease do you want on it? You want a 6-month lease or you want a 12-month lease? You say, hey, I won't take anything less than 12 months. We go back to our client and say, hey, 12 months is the least amount they'll take for it. Client says, okay, we sign a 12-month lease with you. We have our client sign a 12-month lease with us, and we have it leased for 12 months. When that 12 months is up, if the client doesn't extend or you don't want them to extend, they move out at the end of the lease and it's back to you again. And you can say, hey, you guys want to see if you can lease it again? Or we may say, hey, we've got another client if you want to do this again. But typically, we don't ask you to hold it and wait for us to find a client for it. Because right now, with rentals the way they are, why would anybody hold anything? You know, I mean, if you got somebody who wants to move in, they'll pay you. Let them move in and pay.
So you pay all the utilities and everything?
Yes.
And that's the beauty of letting us do that, even though we may not keep, and this is over 7 years, so there have been some months that it's been empty, but for the majority of the time, 80-90% of the time, it's full. He pays the water and electricity because it's part of the Fairmont condo thing. We pay cable, and those are paid all the time. If there is a problem with the unit, a maintenance issue, we take care of it as a property manager would, but we're not property managers. We're just taking care of a unit that we could or could not have people in. I mean, and his agreement with me is very verbal. We have nothing on paper. But the other two that I did we had paper. One worked out well. They went to another country for a job with Chevron and wanted it rented out, and it was great and worked out beautifully. The other one, sister got involved, and I was evil. Even though we have people in there.
We've had more than just those that have worked out good. But the reason the guy does this with this one apartment or one condo is because he doesn't live here, and he moves all around the country. He's lived in New York, he's been in California, he's been here, he's been there, he's been in Houston, and he just forwards us his new address and we send the checks. And
that's all he hears from us when we have a maintenance issue, just so we can say, here's what happened, what do you want us to do? You take care of it, okay, and we'll take the money out of his rent that month.
And when we originally started, he had his own contractors that helped him remodel the apartment. So if there's a problem, it's in his contractors over. Now we're at the point where he's like, do you have somebody that can go do it? Well, like most of you guys, we have contractors that we use all the time, so we send our guys over there now. And we just, like she said, take it out of the rent payment for the next month or whatever. So it's convenient for him is the reason why he does that. And he understands when it's sitting empty that there's, nothing we can do about that. We're marketing it constantly. It doesn't fit everybody's needs because it is a small 1-bedroom apartment. So
we put a lot of traveling nurses with dogs in there because the bedroom is carpeted, nothing else. And it's small, so they love it. And it's the first floor. So we keep a lot of traveling nurses in there.
You do have to be real careful with that because Texas property code, as you experienced, says you have to be a licensed broker to be eligible to manage properties. So we
don't manage property.
Right, that's what I said. But if other people are thinking about doing that, listen to her with the warning. Yeah.
I think you only have to be a licensed broker to manage property for other people.
For other people, not for yourself. Right, not for yourself. And you could even work as an employee for one person and manage and not be licensed. But if you're gonna manage for a number of people, for one thing, I don't know why you'd want to. But if you're having done that, I don't know why you, but just be careful and bypass the problem they ended up with. You don't want to end up at Trek.
No. Even if you're not a realtor, they like to call you and threaten to take something away that we don't have.
Yeah, they enforce property code.
Take you.
That's right. We're gonna take away your license. Okay.
That'll happen.
We go get it first.
That's right, exactly. When I do, I will call you, let you know, you can get it. All right.
Let's give them a hand.